And do you want to know a fact? When Arabs enslaved anyone, they like the women. Do you know why? Because Arab sheikhs and imams love to rape women. All the caliphs, they were known for raping women. They had thousands of slave women that they raped all the time, man. And it's a history. And you want to know something? I've got the proof. I've got the records. I don't have an opinion. I've got the proof that in this same book, I'm going to show you that Mecca was the biggest slave port for Arabs. And when they done Hajj, it was traditional for them to take slaves along with them. And if you're a black man in the mosque, shame on you, man. If you're a black man with a kufi and a mandrasan, shame on you, man. Do you want to know why? Because Arabs sold your people, and then you're there talking about Allah Akbar, man. What's wrong with you, black man? Those religions enslave you, just like the Christian church. The Muslim mosque did the same thing. Even in the Arabic language, what does abid mean, man? Abed, it's Arab for black, and it means a slave. It's a synonymous word. So you're telling me that when you call someone black, that's synonymous with a man-slave too?
I.S.U.P.K.
Shalom, shalom, this is Callum L from London, UK, all the way to the US of A. Listen, subscribe to I.S.U.P.K. I'm always on that channel checking out the new knowledge that I.S.U.P.K is dropping.
You need to do it too, man. You follow the two biggest religions on the face of the earth, and they are racist, man. The Christian church is a racist religion. Christians enslaved black people. Christians taught you Sunday service. In slavery, we didn't know that. And then they gave you Sunday. They said, serve my God, and you will have the day off, man. And likewise, any slave, you want some rest, and you serve their God to have the day off work, man. Islam is a racist religion. Now, the Arabs under Islam, they enslaved black people too. Mecca for Islam was the biggest slave port. It was normal that when an Arab done Hajj, he took black slaves along with him. And if you think I'm lying, I've got the history. I can pull it out right now if you want it. Yes, you want it? Hand me that book right there, man. Hand me Arab Islam. Hand me that book, man. I'm gonna prove it to you, man. This is a book written by a scholar of Arab history, and Mecca was the main slave place for Arabs to take black slaves. And this is scholarly information. This is scholastic information, and I'm gonna bring it out. I'm gonna put it for you. Listen, no. You listen to me. All you have is an opinion. I got history. All you have is an opinion on Islam. I got history on Islam. And Islam enslaved all of Africa. Why do you think Somalians follow Islam? Why do you think in the Congos they follow Islam? Because Arabs enslaved them. And do you want to know a fact? When Arabs enslaved anyone, they like the women. Do you know why? Because Arab sheikhs and imams love to rape women. All the caliphs, they were known for raping women. They had thousands of slave women that they raped all the time, man. And it's a history. And you want to know something? I've got the proof. I've got the records. I don't have an opinion. I've got the proof that in this same book, I'm going to show you that Mecca was the biggest slave port for Arabs. And when they done Hajj, it was traditional for them to take slaves along with them. And if you're a black man in the mosque, shame on you, man. If you're a black man with a kufi and a mandress on, shame on you, man. Do you want to know why? Because Arabs sold your people, and then you're there talking about Allah Akbar, man. What's wrong with you, black man? Those religions enslave you, just like the Christian church. The Muslim mosque did the same thing. Even in the Arabic language, what does abid mean, man? Abed, it's Arab for black, and it means a slave. It's a synonymous word. So you're telling me that when you call someone black, that's synonymous with a man-slave too? And a black man, you should be ashamed of yourself. You're in the mosque. You should be ashamed of yourself. Now, enough said. I'ma get the records. I'ma get how Mecca was the biggest slave port for Arabs, man. And it was traditional for them to take slaves along with them.
The holiest city of Islam, Mecca.
Now, make no mistake now, the holiest place of Islam, Mecca. It's gonna let you know something about Mecca. Read.
The center of the slave trade in the world.
What?
The center of the slave trade in the world.
And in Mecca, it was the biggest slave trade center in the world, Mecca, where black Muslims love to go, and they love to go there and what? Hajj. That same place, Mecca, was the biggest slave center in the world. They took 14 million black people to Mecca and sold them as slaves. If you're a black man in the mosque, shame on you, man. If you're a black man in that mandress and that kufa on your head, shame on you. Mecca was the biggest slave center of the world, man. And we got the history. This book is written by an Arab historian. Nothing I wrote. Read.
And remained so well into the 20th century.
When?
Well into the 20th century.
And Mecca had slaves even to the 1900s, man. So imagine that. How come when you're in the mosque, they don't inform you on this information? The Queen talk about Christians had slaves, Europeans had slaves, and what about you? What did you have? You had slaves too, and sold them in Mecca to the 20th century, man. Read.
From their slaves captured and brought from East Africa.
And now they took slaves from East Africa and sold them in Mecca, the Holy Land. They took black slaves and sold them in Mecca, man. And you got the nerve to talk about Europeans. You're just as evil and as wicked as them, man. And that's something they don't want to talk about. And then now, as a black man talks about, I'm following Islam, you don't know history. People that follow Islam, Arabs that followed Islam, sold your ancestors in Mecca, man. Mecca was the biggest slave center of the world, man. Read.
And the Sudan were described to all parts of Arabia and the Muslim world. It became a custom for pilgrims to take slaves.
Oh, whoa, so hang on now. When they done their Hajj, it was a custom for Arabs to take slaves to Mecca. So when they was doing their Hajj, it was natural that Arabs would take black slaves along with them. So how come this history ain't taught? How come when people talk about Islam, this history gets forgotten about? That Mecca was the biggest slave port of slaves, man. When they done their Hajj, it was a custom for them to take slaves with them. I'm gonna tell you something, it don't make sense to you because you don't want to accept it, man. It don't make sense because maybe you're a Muslim and you don't want to accept it. Read on.
Sorry, custom for pilgrims to take slaves for sale in Mecca.
What?
To take slaves for sale in Mecca.
So when they done Hajj, they took people to sell them in Mecca, man. And that's history. And you can buy the book yourself. If you think I'm twisting it, feel free to read it yourself, man. And here's the problem. Everyone has opinions, but no one wants to do the research. Just because that's your religion, what they done to black people was unacceptable, man. What they done to black people was wrong, and nobody likes to accept it. And if you're a black man in Islam, shame on you, man. You denied this history, that they were selling your people in Mecca, and when they done their Hajj, it was a custom to take slaves along with them, man, and sell them. So why ain't this taught, man? You know what I mean? I've spoke to many Muslims, and as soon as you mention this, that's not true, that didn't happen. And meanwhile, Arab historians say otherwise, man. Arab historians don't agree with what you're saying, man. Read.
For sale in Mecca, or buy 1 or 2 slaves.
So hang on, even in Mecca, Arabs would buy black slaves in Mecca, and no one talks about that. Black people are all up in the mosque, and nobody educates them on this though. Read.
while on Hajj.
While on what?
While on Hajj.
And they sold and also paid for slaves while they were on Hajj, man. And no sheikh, no imam ever knows this history though. Why is that? Is it they don't know, or they don't want you to know? They don't want you to find out. They want you just to join that mosque and be a good slave. Meanwhile, while they were doing their Hajj, they would buy black slaves and even sell them on Hajj, man. Read.
As sovereigners to be pilgrims, and sovereigners to be kept, sold, or given as gifts.
And hang on, in Mecca, some slaves, they was handed as a gift. So now, I'm gonna get back to what I was teaching, but this is a book right here you can buy, man, of Arabs. No, this is after Islam, after Muhammad died. Yeah, I know you don't want to know what it is. That's why, but listen, history says otherwise. You got opinions, these are facts. Two different things. Your opinion ain't got nothing on the facts. That Mecca was known for selling black slaves and even handed some to Arabs as gifts. And that's history, man.
Nobody tell you cry. You know why? Because I never saw you before. But you a black man like me. And it's worth something.
My whole life was trying to find something to follow. Had loyalty, every man tried to borrow. Felt pain and a lot of sorrow. Got betrayed, so packed, I didn't even have my heart broke. Living confused, about to lose hope. Cops got me on the side of the road like a sideshow. Need an antidote before I croak. Now I'm setting fire to rhythm man blues, call this guitar smoke. Rebel with no cause, trying to find direction. The world got me vexed. Picked up a bad liquor habit that's hereditary from oppression. Felt like my life was on fire, trying to find an exit. Now look, 10 G's plus a good wreck. Sometimes a follower is a soldier, trying to find a good shepherd. Plus when you in hell, how do you excel? Wisdom the breath of life, I don't believe in fairy tale. Listen well to what I tell. No calling can cause pain. Something that a rebel knows very well. Can't you tell I was sent from the Lord? Got a tongue like a two-edged